It's me, Renee. I'm back. I'm going to do a similar video that I did the other day, but now it's going to be more expanded, like I talked about in the video. So this is a video where I talk about where I find inspiration to read. Inspiration to read. That's a bit weird. No, where I find books to read. Some people say that they just kind of look to TikTok for book tips. Some people just look to Instagram. I honestly, I get my book tips from a lot of places, really, a lot of places. And also, I feel like it's also, I suppose, this is also a bit of inspiration. Like, if people say like books are boring, well, have you gotten tips from the right place? I mean, if you just look at 100 books you should read in this year or like before you die, maybe that's not the list you should check out. Maybe you should check out a list like books if you like this movie, like this book. I mean, there's lots of ways to get inspiration and to try to find good books from. So yeah, uh, and also most of these are books that I highly enjoyed. Some of them, some of them I didn't love, but most of them I very much enjoyed. So I suppose this is also gonna double up as a recommendation video. Um, should I? Yeah, I'm just gonna start with the books that I found uh, that I read because of Booktube right here. Some of these have been recommended by like one booktuber, and some have been recommended by several, so it's kind of been all over Booktube. And I'm just gonna kind of show the books and then talk a bit about them and then move on because there's a lot of books here. First, we have The Love Con by Sarah Glass. Bethany from Beautiful Bookish Bethany recommended me this. She said that if you like spoiler alert, check out this one. This is kind of better, she said. In my opinion, both of these are great, but yeah, this is a great. This is adult romance. It's friends to lovers and fake relationship, and there's also reality competition involved. Then we have seedlessly going into spoiler alert, which has been, well, kind of feel like it was everywhere when it came out. All over Booktube, probably all over Instagram as well, though I wasn't on Instagram on that point, but yeah. This is again a love story, adult love story. It's kind of think think you got mail, but in modern times. So it's kind of that style, and it's also like a fat protagonist, one of them, and it's set in a nerdy world, geek world, and yeah, a lot of things I love about this book. Then yeah, then we have Curse for Days by Laura Moher. This one I read in July. I read it recently, uh, and I bought it because of Heather from HEA Booktubes. And right now I'm thinking, maybe did someone else recommend this? I believe it was Heather. I suppose if it wasn't Heather, I feel like she might enjoy this book. Okay, Heather, I'm just kind of thinking to you. Maybe I should just research it, but I mean, I would have to go through a lot. No, yeah, I'm saying it to you, Heather. So yeah, this is romance, also slice of life story. It's uh, told from two point of views, from both love interests, and it's a small town story, and yeah, it's just a lovely, lovely book. I love it so much. Then we have the books that's gonna get me cancelled, maybe a bit cancelled, but I suppose if you're sensitive, maybe you can unsubscribe me now. Just go ahead and do it. It's a book that was everywhere when it came out, and it has sequels, and the sequels are also beloved. But I feel like I'm probably not the only one who didn't love it. But like I did a body read of this, and I was the only one in body read who didn't love it. But it is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. So yeah, this just kind of goes to shows It goes to show, even though a book is hyped and everybody talks about how amazing a book is, you still kind of have to look at the book because this is science fiction. No, as well, for me, science fiction can work sometimes, but it's science fiction and necromancy and murder and like I don't mind crime stories. I don't mind science fiction stories. I don't tend to go towards them. But this one, it kind of had grotesque scenes, and honestly, the world building for me was too complicated. I just kind of felt stupid. I just didn't really understand it. And yeah, all in all, not for me really. Well, this one is going to a charity shop. And then we have, oh yeah, this was just all the booktubes. I can't really say a specific booktuber. It was just everyone talked about it and still talks about it. So yeah, if it's a book that everyone talks about, I'm not gonna mention all people because that would be crazy. And then we have A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. Again, I feel like this has been all over Booktube or like a lot of places people have been talking about this. I can't remember a specific person, but yeah, I very much enjoy this series. I mean, I don't enjoy all the books as much, but I enjoy the series as a whole, and I do want to like, yeah, finish the series. It's a lovely historical romance set in the suffragette era, and yeah, I love that backstory. So yeah. Then we have Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Again, a book that has been like everywhere on Booktube, or like not everywhere, but at quite a lot of places. Read it last year, and yeah, absolutely love it. Also, found out after I finished it that the author is autistic, and she kind of, even though autistic isn't used in the book, I mean, it kind of the main character feels very autistic coded, so that's very nice. And yeah, and then we have a book that's recommended to me by Reagan over his Peruse project. I watched her a lot before. I still watch her now. But I mean, there's so many booktubers to keep up with all of them. It's difficult. But yeah, she just sometimes does like underrated videos, and she has talked about the Girl of Fire and Thorns so many times. This is YA high fantasy. It is high fantasy, but you can clearly see it's based on Latin America, so that's very fun. To like have a fantasy that's not based in England. I love that so much. And also the main character starts at fat, not just plumpy, but like fat. And I also quite enjoy that. I mean, after a while she changes body shape as circumstances, but like for a long time she is fat. She is undervalued, and yeah, it's very much an underdog story. And yeah, I love this book and series so much. It's a trilogy, just FYI. And then from the same booktuber, we have Finicking of the Rock by Melina Marchetta. This is high fantasy, but it also kind of talks about, you kind of get a feeling of like, I feel like I've read in some interviews that this kind of feels very much like a war story. Like you go into what it is to be refugee and stuff. And I just, yeah, I love this book very much. And then we have a book that was recommended 10 years ago, I think, more like a big while ago. It was before I made my own booktube videos, though I've been watching booktube for a long time. I don't remember exactly who talked about this book. I remember it being on booktube. It was someone blonde, but I can't remember who. But it is Starry Night by Daisy Whitney. So think Night of a Museum, but for art and set in Paris, and it's a YA story, standalone, and highly, highly recommend it. Then we have Me Coughing, a role playing by Cafe Yardley. I read this in June for the Amazing Readathon. Loved it very much. It has demisexuality representation. It has introverted representation. It has Grumpy Sunshine, where Grumpy is the female character, which is quite fun. And yeah, I just love it. This book in so many ways, and yeah, it's an amazing book. Highly, highly recommend. Highly must read for everyone. Okay, if you have not read this book, put it on your Christmas wish list. Put it on your buy soon list. Go to the library and get this book. It needs to be read. Then we have Cemetery Boys. Oh yeah, sorry. This was also recommended by Heather from HEA Booktubers. Then we have Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This I found out about in 2020 when Aidan Thomas did an interview because they debuted with this book in 2020. And because of, debuting with a book in 2020 was kind of a weird thing. So lots of authors did interviews online on Booktube, panels and stuff, and Aidan was one of them. And that book just sounded so cool. And then I bought it last year and just procrastinated and didn't read it before this year. So yeah, goes to show you can anticipate a book without buying the book at the first point that you can. But yeah, I finished this book this year and I love it so much. And also supposedly this coming as sequel out this year, next year. So that's interesting. So that's cool. Give me a little moment. Oh, people. Sometimes people are silly. Trying to organize stuff and no one's like, people just someone saying, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? It's like, come on, give an opinion. Yeah. Okay. Then we have The Future on Another Timeline, which was recommended by Jesse on YouTube. They have a channel on YouTube. They've had it for a few years now. They're queer, so they use they, them. And they talk about lots of different books. They read quite a lot of horror, which I don't vibe with, but this is a time travel story, so of course I had to check it out. It's time travel science fiction story, and it also involves rape and stuff. But it's raw, but it's a book that's, I would say, it's still a good book to read. It is, and it's kind of slightly plot twisty here and there, which I suppose it's not bad to be plot twisty, but yeah, I love it. Highly recommend. Then we have Passenger by Alexander Bracken. Again, this one was all over Booktube when it came out in 2016. And it's a time travel story, so of course I loved it. Kind of sad that this didn't really start a time travel trend because, like, often when a book is big, kind of more books in that same style comes out. Like Twilight, you had lots of vampire books, and Hunger Games, lots of dystopian books. You never had lots of time travel books, which is stupid, honestly. I feel like I can like mention 4 or 5 time travel like YA books, or that's also kind of feel like in general. Well, no, yeah, in YA books. So that I kind of still kind of want more of those, but this one is very good. Then we have Love is for Losers, which was recommended by the Epic Reads YouTube channel. They sometimes do videos when they interview authors, and they ask some authors like, what's the funniest books you read recently? And some of them mentioned this, and I thought, cool title. Bought it, love it so much. Yeah, that's the first pile, and the short pile. This one is remarkably, I think probably it's actually the shortest pile, just 2 books category. This is also kind of I'll get a lot of people. I think like if you interview some people in the street, or if people interview people like the man on a man, yeah, man in the street, or like everyday man, or everyday persons, not man, could be everyday woman or non-binary. They often say like they get tips from friends, friends at work, friends, neighbors, etc., etc. With me, even though I have book to people who love to read, well, I suppose I could say like, but yeah, here I'll say like friends outside internet. I won't say maybe I have most friends who like to read inside the internet. Inside the internet. Like you live on the internet. Well, like, sometimes some of you do. But yeah. Anyway, here are two books that I was recommended in real life from people. Well, in real life. From people that I've met outside the internet. We have Skullduggery Pleasant, which I was recommended by classmates. My God, 11 years ago now. Time flies. I was 19 when I picked up the first book in this series, which is actually meant like for like 10 to 12, but I honestly very much enjoyed this story. I mean, right now it's four series, like it's a universe with lots of series in them. I haven't caught up yet, but yeah, I very much enjoyed this series, and I definitely slept on, I feel. So I'm very happy that my friend recommended this book. Then we have Fire, or the Graceling books by Kirsten Cashore. I was recommended this by a friend in high school. I was a part of a book club for a little while in high school. We just kind of ended up doing like 3 meetings, but it was still kind of fun while it lasted. And one of the people in that book club loves, well, of course she loves to read, but yeah, she recommended this series, picked it up, and yeah, it's one of the only high fantasy books that I very much enjoy. As still one of the first I read, it's still not really a subgenre I go towards, but Christine Cashore, yes, I'll pick up her books. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get some water. Stay put. And I'm back. Okay, so then we have a pile. So there's room for stuff there. So maybe you're new to this channel. I don't know, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But in the old days, I used to work in a bookstore. That stopped last year because reasons. You can watch all videos to check out more about that. But yeah, so I used to work in a bookstore. So then, I mean, the ideal thing would be that you would have people come to the store all the time. Sadly, my store didn't have people come to the store all the time. There was some time where like, where are the customers? So when that happened, I would often go to Gardeners, which is where you order books, the English books. I would kind of see what's were on sale, what's new books coming out. Sometimes I would just honestly I would just kind of put in random words and just kind of search like, are there any cool books coming up with this title? Because some books, some words for me are kind of like buzzwords, as with most people. So yeah, these are books I found through work. So first we have the Duke Heist. So I just searched heist and I found this book and thought, huh, a heist romance. Cool. Picked it up and honestly, absolutely love it. This book is amazing. I love it so much. It's just amazing. The rest of the books in the series aren't as amazing, but they're good. But this book is amazing. So this book, I feel like it's not like a book no one reads, but you should check out if you like romance. And then, as would happen, I have some arcs because when you work in a bookstore, you can ask for arcs. There are some arcs that just come directly to your store, whatever. So first we have a Norwegian book, Udyr by Kristine Tufte. So this is a book all about Norse mythology, but instead of Loki being the big bad here, the dealio is that it takes place over a weekend, and the main character is going to help a big farm where animals aren't ordinary animals, they're mythical animals from Norse mythology. So he has to take care of them. And it's just, yeah, I love it. Such a cool concept, and I, yeah, love it so much. I have not read it, read it in a while, but then we have the walls. Me coughing again. Sorry. Then we have the Wells and Wong mystery. This one being the first book in the series. Wait, it's called in English Murder Most Unladylike. In Norwegian, Et høyst upassende mord, which I suppose, I mean, every murder, well, you don't know what it means. It means a highly unpolite murder, which, I mean, all murders are unpolite, as a customer once said to me about this book. But yeah, this started my love for this author and this series, and yeah, it's just amazing. And it's also the reason why I have the first book in Norwegian. I should probably get the first book in English as well. I mean, it's kind of weird why I have both. I don't know. Give me a little moment. Then we have a recent book, because some of these are older books that I got a few years ago. Well, I suppose an arc for this book would be a few years old, because this series been out in years. But yeah, it is Vildir by Håkon Markus. This, as you see, another Norwegian book. This is Norwegian middle grade fantasy, which does not really happen all that much. And in this book, the main character is a shapeshifter, which also quite fun. And there's a magical school, and yeah, honestly, this book is just so cool. It's amazing. I I feel like it's already. I think it's out in Danish. Maybe it's out in Swedish. I don't know if it's out in. I don't think it is about having it in English yet, but I suppose maybe soon, because it's gotten like lots of hype around Norway. I think it's gotten some translations. But yeah, how soon it will become available in English, I don't know. Sorry, guys. But yeah, my sequel's coming up this fall, so that's cool. And then we have one time where I just kind of, yeah, where I did a gardener's thing, where I just wrote in a word. I wrote errors because I kind of was in the mood for some historical romance. But I got stone broke errors. And that just kind of intrigued me. And this cover just like, huh, cool. Ordered it, and yeah, so happy I ordered it because it's amazing. It's just so good. It kind of, at least, it gives me the Legally Blonde feels, but set it in England, in Liverpool. It's kind of the same style, and yeah, very much an underdog story, and just very good story. I love it so much. Then I don't remember what happened here, but I believe I found it for work. Maybe I think it was just kind of a book that came out soon, like coming out soon. I don't know. Anyway, The Boyfriend Project by Farah Roshan. It's, yeah, I love this cover. Love this book. It is amazing. My first read by Farah Roshan. I was about to say her first read ever. I think maybe she used to be an indie author. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, this book is amazing. Great love story at the center, but also some bit of mystery in there. And I quite like that mystery part of it. And yeah. Then we have The Mammoth Book of Losers. I don't remember exactly what happened here, but I remember like buying it from work. You know what? Now I remember, didn't buy this from work. Okay, ignore this book. It's going in a different pile. Sorry. Yeah, it's going in a different pile. Sorry. Then let's go. So as with a lot of things, I'm late to stuff. Like I didn't get Facebook for like many years before it became popular. I just recently got to Instagram, so I do a lot of things later than other people. And like 2 or 3 years ago, well, actually 5 years ago, but yeah, for a long time I just listened to the Gilmore Guys podcast, and then 2 years ago I started listening to other podcasts. So now I'm listening to podcasts, not a podcast, because I listen to different ones. So yeah, here this pile is books I found through podcasts. So first we have me drinking. First we have The Theory of Everything Else by Dan Schreiber. This is one of the guys who's on No Such Thing as a Fish, a very cool podcast. And then yesterday, last year he made his own podcast, like his very own podcast, not collaborating with people, which is called We Can Be Weirdos. And that's kind of the same style as this book, which is kind of expanded. So this book is kind of about all the weird things out in the world. It is a non-fiction book, but it's like for example, Nobel artists, people who won the Nobel Prize, but then afterwards went on to talk about aliens, or like saying ridiculous stuff, and yeah, it's an amazing read. Then we have Ask a Historian by Greg Jenner. So Greg Jenner was on one episode of No Such Thing as a Fish, and then I loved his vibe, and he talked about his book, and I thought that book sounds cool. Ordered it and love it. Then we have, and then we have Impossible Things, Unbelievable Answers to the World's Weirdest Questions, again by Dan Schreiber. This is kind of very much this book, but like rewritten for kids. It's a lot of the same stories. This one has more pictures. So yeah, it's more picture based. But yeah, this one came up this year, and highly enjoy this one as well. All right. Then we have some books that I discovered through the podcast Hated Mates, which is a romance book podcast. They mostly talk about adult romance books, but sometimes they go into YA and other stuff. And they talked about Joanna Shuk, and so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna check her out. I bought her this this spring because of a sale. I read it in May and love it. You can ask me like, why you love it? I mean, so many reasons. I think one of them is just because it's historical romance set in England. Sorry, set in the let's say UK, set in US, which I kind of feel like it's so rare because I mean, people tend to think like historical means UK, like historical. I mean, every place has a history, so like historical comes out anywhere really. And this is kind of fun to like have it in the in the 1880s in New York. I love this setting. Then we have A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera. This is a historical romance set in Paris, but also a bit in Scotland. And yeah, love this book. It's just amazing. Highly recommend it. And then we have Anna Maria and the Fox by Leon de la Rosa, set in England but with a Mexican heiress, which is quite fun. I feel like that's kind of one of the few books where you have that, like a romance, historical romance, where one of the main characters is from Latin America. It's quite fun. Reading the second one right now. That is my podcast pile. Then, sorry, I'm getting a bit parched. I'll just do this pile now. Give me a moment. And then we have the pile of books where you do the kind of the boring thing, the mundane thing, where I just walk around libraries and just browse, just look at what's there. So here I'm not going to count books that I already know were out, like books that I didn't know before I went to library. These are these books. So we have Night School by Celia Doherty. This has been about 10 years since I read now. But yeah, it's a very cool YA thriller series, which I feel like it's not really that many of those. I mean, it's kind of like conspiracy theory thriller. It's not like murder, YA crime. It's more like conspiracy theories and stuff. And yeah, it's very, very cool. Then we have the Penny Royal Academy series by M.A. Larson. So I found the first book in the library, so that's why I still don't own the first book, because I got it from the library, right there. And yeah, I love it. Very cool series. Then we have the Gods of Manhattan series by Scott Mebus. Found this randomly in the library. God, 8 years ago now. Time flies. But yeah, found the first book years ago. I read the second book. Well, the second book maybe just like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I read the third one recently, and just amazing series. People need to check it out. It is amazing. And then we have the Tilly and Co. series by Anna James. This is a middle grade fantasy series, 6 books, and it has it has illustrations here and there, and yeah, and then sometimes you have big illustrations, and also it's just a great series. Like, people who can look into books. I mean, kind of ink art, but it's not completely the same. But I suppose kind of that way. And yeah, like, people have heard about this book, but it's amazing. So then, give me a moment. Let's check out the books that I found through Instagram. So I've been on Instagram now for 2 years, 3 years. No, I believe it's. Well, I'll look at calendar. I think it's actually been 2 years. So as I said, I go on things very, very much later than other people. But yeah, I went on Instagram recently. Well, last 2 years. I've been enjoying being there. And yeah, honestly, it's not really a big pile of books. I mean, there are some books that I see there, but like here, the point of this video is to like pick up books that I like. The categories, it's books that fit in that category. And here, yeah, there's just 3 books that I just read only because of Bookstagram. There's some books I've seen on Bookstagram, on Booktube, several places, but these I just read because of Bookstagram. First, we have City of Spies by James Ponti. I found this through a middle grade account, and very much love that I found this through his account, because spies and middle grade just sounds so cool. And yes, definitely is. I love this book so much. Then we have Alison Cook and the Treasure of Incas by Stephen V. Stokes. Honestly, this book disappointed me. I did not love this book, but I did read it because of Instagram, so here it is. Then we have a British influencer and journalist who often talks about language, but she talks about different stuff. And then in one video she talks about, like, yeah, I have a book. You have a book? Cool. And her book is Sex Education for the 21st Century, Losing It. I read it this year, last year, recently, and yeah, love it so much. It's under 200 pages, but it's just a great nonfiction book. Some of the things in it were like, yeah, I know this, and some were like, ha, didn't know that. So yeah, you will probably learn. I suppose you can't know what you know and don't know. But for me, I learned some stuff, and it's very jolly read. Also, Sophia Smith Gaylor is she's writing another book about language, dead languages, and yeah, excited for that. So yeah, let's go to that pile. Give me a moment. So this quite a big pile. These are books that I found through seeing, kind of googling books coming out this year, or books like this thing, or just kind of different book lists on the internet, because lots of outlets make book lists. They make a list about best books of this year, books to read if you like this movie, or etc. etc. Like, yeah, just kind of general book lists things. It's where I got inspired for reading this. So we have Memory Thieves by Johnny and Clayton. Well, this is the second in the series, but I believe I found the first one probably. The Marvelous through a list of like new middle grade. And yeah, I love this series. Definitely check it out. Then we have Planes, Trains, and All the Fields by Livy Hart. This I found on a list of funny rom-coms. And yeah, this one is very funny. Because yeah, I suppose you could feel like all rom-coms are funny. Well, some are funny-ish, but like this kind of made me laugh loud. So yeah, I love this book. Then we have a book I think I found on like new books. I don't quite remember where I found it. I believe I found it for a list. I can't remember. I don't think I saw it on Instagram. I don't think I've seen much on Booktube. But anyway, Out of the Blue by Jason June. Read it last year, and yeah, it's an amazing read. I love it very, very much. Highly recommend it. Then we have a book I found through kind of historical crime list and stuff. This is A Curious Beginning by Jenny Rayborn. This is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series. And honestly, there was a bit of part in this book I didn't love, but like most part, I loved it very much. And yeah, read through the books so far. I think there's like 7 books out, so I have some catching up to do in the series. Hitting myself. And yeah, if you like historical mystery and romance, check out this book. Then we have Pride and Prejudice in the City. I found this through like what's coming up list. And yeah, historical romance. We also like a time travel aspect to it. And sapphic romance. And yeah, it's just an amazing, amazing read. People need to. Then we have Something Close to Magic by Emma Mills. Again, found on like coming up lists. And yeah, this is an amazing, amazing book. People need to check it out. Very cozy. Very love the vibes in this one. Then we have The Cursed Rose, or this trilogy. I believe I actually found it first, like generally on Goodreads. I feel like maybe I saw it on Goodreads list. But yeah, it's kind of described as Indiana Jones meets fairy tale retellings, or like Sleeping Beauty retelling. It's like, interesting. It also had like the Cruel Prince and Akatar. I was like, I don't like Akatar, I don't like Cruel Prince, but I like those other things. Like, why do you have so many like this and this and this? Like, what are you gonna do when there's several things in there? Some things you like, some things you don't. I ended up picking up the first book. I did not regret it. It's amazing. And yeah, this is the third book in the series. It's out now, all the books. Highly recommend it. Then, in a list of mythology retellings, we have The Epic Crush of Jeannie Lowe by FCE. It's been on my TBR for many years, but I recently read it. And yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you probably see this in my favorite reads so far this year and video. And yeah, it's amazing. Then we have The Dragon Blood Ring by Amparo Ortiz. I mean, this is second in the series, but I'm pretty sure the first one I found like through randomly googling like what's coming up, or maybe Latinx books. I don't quite remember. I remember I did not find it randomly in Instagram. I didn't find it on Booktube. I don't really think to talk about Booktube, but yeah, amazing, amazing series. And then we have like whenever you see a book like a list of like books like books, this is always on those lists. Book is Life of Nina Hill, and yeah, I love it so much. Yep. So this another smaller pile. Then we have simply a pile of books where I read other books by the author, so I kind of want to read more by this author. So first we have Babel by Gaston Doren. I read this. I read his first book, which is Lingo, which is all about European languages. This is about languages around the world. Honestly, I like the first book better, but I enjoy both books, so yeah. Then we have Soul of Stars, which is by Ashley Poston, who's also famous for 7 Years Sleep or Geekerella. This is her science fiction series, and yeah, very good one. Sorry. And then we have The Fifth Gender by G.L. Carriger, which is a synonym for Gail Carriger. I love Gail Carriger very much. I even have a personal protectorate book tag. And yeah, this is a science fiction book she's written, and I also love it very much. Read it this year, and yeah, it's amazing. Then let's go to the last big pile. And a little while. So this pile is simply while I walk around bookstores and just browse. And honestly, like these last 10, I want to say maybe 15 years, it's been rare that I've been to a bookstore and there are bookstores I haven't heard about. Because, I mean, you often see books talked about in newspapers, books talked about in book blogs, whatever. But sometimes you see books that you haven't really heard about before. It could be because of it's a used book, could be other stuff, but yeah. I suppose I'm gonna go with book you've seen first, before. The Mammoth Book of Losers. I actually found this one in the used bookstore, and yeah, it's just, yeah, I love it so, so much. I mean, it's kind of their entitled. The world is crazy, and you need to read it. Then we have A Kind of Spark by Al McNichol. This is a middle grade story all about autism, being different, and finding your place in the world. And yeah, love it. Then you have His Majesty's Hope by Susan Ellie McNeill. I found this one actually back in 20, I want to say 2014. In 2014, I went to York with my class because I did 1 year of English during university. And then we went for 1 week to York. I found this in a Oxfam, which is a used store. And yeah, this is in a series of historical mystery series. And I have not finished this series yet. I do plan to do that. But yeah, I love whatever I read so far. Then we have The Accidental Medium by Tracy Whitwell, which is, it is paranormal, but it's also, I would say, like it's 70% funny, 10% scary, and 10% paranormal. Like it's very funny. Like it's very like it's set in contemporary day England. It's set in I believe it's set in like Manchester or Liverpool, so it's fun to set outside London, and yeah, it's just a great read. Also, the first in the series. I have not read the second book yet, but yeah. Then we have Changeless, which is the second book in the series. I have Solace, but my friend has forwarded. I need to get it back. But yeah, yeah. So I found Solace and this whole original series just randomly perusing a bookstore now 11 years ago, and yeah, I'm so happy that I picked up Solace because it changed my life. Because It's one of those life-changing books. I just love it so much. I love all of Gail Carriger's books. I love Gail Carriger. I mean, honestly, she actually makes the world better by being it, and also by her books. Her books, her books should definitely like be in a museum. I feel like they're so cool. They're so good. So yeah. Then we have The Mermaid's Madness by Jim C. Hines. I believe I found this randomly, in a used bookstore somewhere. I feel like maybe it was no, it's a used bookstore, and I just kind of love this idea of like it's a fairytale retelling, but it's adult fairytale retelling. So you have quite a lot of violence. There's some gore in it. There's graphic scenes. It's definitely not YA. Definitely not middle grade. And I kind of like seeing like this fairytale known characters in adult environments. And I have not read the last two books in the series, but I do plan on doing that. Then we have, sorry, one of the few books that I have in Norwegian. That's not Norwegian originally. It is Ruby Red, or in Norwegian, Rubinrød. This was all over Booktube back in the day, but I found it randomly while browsing through a bookstore in the capital, and I quite liked the cover, and also like time travel. It was like, oh yeah, like by that time I already was very much in my time travel era. Well, I never really left it, I won't say. And yeah, I mean it is YA, but kind of say like it reads young YA. Like I say, like if you're 13, 12, you could actually very much enjoy this. It's not like a book that you would love if you're 18. How old was I when I read it first time? I think when I was 15. I was a childish kid, young person. But yeah. Then we have Heroine Complex, which I found randomly in Outland, one of my favorite stores. And yeah, one of my favorite series. And I just love this cover also. It's just such a cool cover. It's an urban fantasy with like superhero elements and also some science fiction elements. And yeah, amazing. The Shambling Guide to New York City. Also found this randomly like a sales table in my favorite store in Oslo. Well, favorite chain, Outland. They have like lots of fantasy stuff. And yeah. This was actually supposed to be like the first in a long series, and then it didn't sell, so now it's just 2 books. But those 2 books are out there, and they are great. So, and also the last book didn't really end on cliffhanger, so you could read it as a duology, which is definitely what it is now. So, yeah. Then we have Not Your Sidekick. Again, found it in the same bookstore. And this is YA Asian Americans. Well, this first book is Asian Americans. Each book in the series takes place from a different point of view, from like a friend group. It's dystopian-ish in the way that it's set like 80 years in the future. So it's in the future, but it's not like in far off future. So yeah, it is amazing. And then we have How to Keep a Boy as a Pet by Diane Mesidoro. And of course, you just love this title. I found it while also being in England like 11 years ago. And I kind of need to reread it, I feel like. But yeah, I still keep it because it's such a cool title. I remember it being fun. I believe maybe it has a sequel that I have not read. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Then we just have a few piles left. Actually, we just have one pile left then, actually. Yeah, you can see my boobs. Well, particularly big. This last pile is other offers. So it's like other offers. Yeah. Sometimes offers, like if they are interviewed, they ask like, "What's a book you recently read?" or "A book you always recommend," whatnot. Like interviews like that, or they have a blog where they talk about books they read. So here are 2 books that was recommended to me by other authors. So we have the Hexol series by Rachel Hawkins. This is her YA. I mean, now she's like famous for writing adults. Back in the day, she wrote YA. This book was recommended to me by Meg Cabot, and yeah, this was my jam in late high school. I loved this when I was 17. It was just a great series. Read it so many times. Also, actually have it in Spanish. Do I have the whole series? At least one of the books in Spanish. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Sorry. Last but not least, in this long video, we have Geek Girl, which was recommended to me by the author of. Let me find the book again. Okay, anyway, it's recommended to me by Derek Landy, the author of Skulldugger Pleasant. He said that if he wrote contemporary, it would be this. And I mean, they're quite different, but again, I mean, they're both quite humorous. So you understand that line of thinking. And yeah, Chico is one of my all-time favorite series. So thank you, Derek Landy. And yeah, that is this video. If you want to tell me where you find your book tips, please do. If you want to hype or talk about a book series that you enjoy from this video, or add just a book, please do. And or not, you could just put a book emoji. And I will see you soon. Bye.